Okay, so here's what we're doing today. We're doing a practice guide. Yesterday we did the first half. Apologies, I did not post that video yesterday after school. I got to get it online today so you can watch that video. Didn't even think about it. I went to the junior high football game and I came back here for volleyball and didn't even think about it. So that's my bad. It will be online today right after school. That way you can watch it. Yesterday on a practice guide, remember these practice guides are due. We did the first half yesterday. So we did all these vocab words. There was 2 blanks that we did not fill in. That was the geometric figures contained on the same flat surface. We crossed that one out because we didn't have a word in the word bank. It's coplanar. On the same flat surface, you're coplanar. But I didn't have the word, so cross that one out. And then the word polygon here, that one, cross that one out. I didn't have the word in the word bank because we didn't get there. Question?
I have like blanks for a limitless, lots of this guy.
That's a plane. A limitless flat surface is plane. You probably use it.
And then there's another one like 3 lines down.
Yeah.
And then I have words for like 2 objects having the same size and shape.
That's congruent. That's literally like, those are the 2 I blatantly copied.
Okay.
You probably already had one filled in earlier. I blatantly copied them. Like they're just photo, like copy paste.
So measured between midpoint.
Choose. Okay. Okay, now we did all the vocab yesterday. Remember, the vocab list, all the words we talked about in class from section 1.1 to 1.5, you need to go through your book tonight. Look at the bold words, because those bold words are fair game. I just put some examples here. These are not the exact words in your test. They could be, but there could be other words that were in the textbook. So be careful. You could use words more than once up here, because obviously there's just plain copy-paste. I will not do the thing where there'll be blanks where you don't have words. I'm not going to do that. I'll triple check it tonight to make sure I'm not doing that. Okay? Does that make sense? Section 1.1, 1.5. Okay, we did number 2 yesterday. I will make sure that picture's on the board. So if you can't see it on your photocopy of your practice test, or your test tomorrow, it'll be on the board and you can see the picture so you can get a better look at what it's doing. Just answer the questions. Make sure you're giving me the right answers we talked about yesterday. 3, we talked about how to measure things on a ruler. The ruler will be printed. You won't have to put a physical one down on your paper. And we finished with number 4 yesterday. I believe I did what? Did I do the top one?
Yeah.
And then you guys had to do the bottom one by yourself? You have to draw that line, label it, solve for B, solve for C. So there's 2 problems there, 2 separate problems. The big thing is reading the instructions and knowing how to draw it and figure out what they want. Do they want a variable? Do they want a certain stick? You have to go plug the numbers back in. Okay, we did those yesterday. Again, watch the video, or if you were gone, double check with somebody and get some answers and figure out how to do it. Okay? Definitely watch the video first. That's number 1. I'll post that today after school. We're gonna start with 5, and we're working our way to the end. I'm gonna go quick. So pay attention, get some answers, get some of the stuff figured out. Questions at all before we get started? Okay, okay, so let's start with number 5. So if you read number 5, it says, use a number line to find each measure. That's distance. If it said midpoint, it would say literally just find the midpoint. Now, is that a coordinate plane or is that a number line? Number line. You have to use your formula. Or, literally just count with your fingers. I don't mind if you just count and just tell me the number. Now, obviously, on number 5, I gave you 2 separate problems here, right? J to L or K to P. You have to do both. I will do one of them right now for you. So you guys get choice. JL or KP? KP. Okay, let's do KP. So we're doing this one. You'll have to do the other one by yourself. I want to know the distance from K to P. K is here, P is there. I want to know the distance. Count the spaces. So if you're that person who wants to physically count with their fingers, do it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm counting with your fingers. It's 9 spaces, that's your answer. You can do that. I'm totally fine with you doing it. Counting the spaces, not the hash marks. Now, if you don't like doing that, I have the formula. The formulas will literally be printed on the board tomorrow. We're doing distance on this problem. It literally says find the measure. That's distance, right? So the number line up there, that formula, is you subtract the x's. The x's and then you put them in absolute values. So I'll put the formula right here. You don't have to crank your head over to look at it. So here's your formula. Question.
Will mostly all the tests have the
Formula?
formulas?
Yeah, if there's any type of formula, I usually put them on the board. So you have it. Good. Yep, I don't try to have you memorize too much stuff. Okay, now to do my x's, we have to pick my endpoints. What are the endpoints on my k to p? K and p, yeah. So it's -4 and 5, right? It's literally the letters I told you, k and p. So we're going -4 to 5. So I'm plugging them in here. I don't care the order you put them. I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to go -4 first, the 5 second, but you're subtracting those two numbers. Now, if you want to put 5 first, 5 minus a -4, whatever it is, you have to subtract the two numbers. What is -4 minus 5 more?
-9.
Yeah, -9. And what's the absolute value? -9. 9. So you can do it that way. Just counting fingers, it's probably easier. You get how that works. I'm giving you both ways of doing it in case you get stuck and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Count the fingers or use the formulas and they're there. They're staying there through tomorrow. Your desk will be facing that way, so you just look up and see it. If you're hard of seeing, sit in this row tomorrow. That way they're literally right in front of you. We will have a seeing chart, but if you need to see it, just let me know and I'll move you to this spot. And I'll trade, because I'm sure somebody doesn't want to sit front row. Okay. Questions? Perfect, let's move on to number 6. Okay, number 6, you will need a calculator. So, if you have one, take one out. If you need to go grab one, go grab one. You will want one so you can get some practice on how to do number 6. Okay, number 6, if you read the instruction, I put it up here. Where's my cursor? All right. So, number 6, you have to find the distance between them. Now, when you look at this picture, is that a number line or a coordinate plane? Boom, the formula's right here. Right? There's your formula. That's the coordinate plane formula. It'll be on the board tomorrow. You identified what you're doing, and you read the instructions. It says find distance. If it said find midpoint, use the midpoint formula. I'm finding distance, so you have to read the instructions. So here's the formula. I'm just going to print it off for you. You subtract the x's, square that. You subtract the y's, and you square that. So that's your formula, right? Now, the problem is you got to know which one's x and y. That's really what it comes down to. Do you know which one's x, which one's y? Well, I have my two coordinates. So -2, what do we have? A -3, we have a 4, and a 0. Okay, so these are my two coordinates for my graph. Which numbers up there are my x numbers? Yeah, -2, 4. It's the first ones, right? It's literally alphabetical order. X, Y is second, X, Y, Z, right? Alphabetical. And then the second numbers, obviously, these are the Y numbers. Those are the Y numbers, 3 and 0. So you're going to take those numbers, you can put them in any order you want, and just throw them into your formula here. That's the beauty of doing that. That's why the formula is really nice. So my x's, that's -2 and 4. I'm going to put them in here. I'm going to go 4 minus the -2. Okay, so I'm subtracting the two x numbers. I don't care the order you put them. Now the y numbers, that's -3 and 0. I'm going to go -3 minus 0. Again, you can put 0 minus -3. I don't really care. Okay, do we feel comfortable with the setup? Okay, let's actually subtract. What happens to the two negative signs here?
Turn positive.
Yeah, they turn plus, right? So we're doing 4 plus 2, which is what, 6? I'm going to square that. Okay. -3 minus 0. What, -3? Now on that one, if you're going to square it, here's what I would just recommend. Just get rid of the negative sign. Just square the number. You don't need the negative sign on it because when you square something, it always turns positive anyway. If you forget to type it in the calculator correctly, it'll tell you a wrong answer in the calculator. Like if you forget the parentheses around the negative number, squaring it will give you a wrong answer. So you just make sure you're just getting a positive number. So 6 squared. 36, right? 6 times 6, that's what squaring means. Squaring a -3. 9. It just gets rid of the negative sign. That's what it does. Right? You just take 8 times itself. When I add these together, what do I get? 45? All right, there's your answer I'm looking for. Right? Square root of 45. You have to type in your calculator. I expect to see the work written down like that. I want to see the work because I want to see if you get a wrong number. Don't just give me some weird decimal on your paper. You need to show me how you're getting your number. That's how you get it. Now to type that in, to type it in my calculator, so if you have one of mine, you're hitting the little second key, and you're gonna go find that little square root button. Type that and then hit 45, so the square button's right there. So I'm gonna write it down. You're hitting the little second key on my calculator. Then you're gonna go look for the x squared key, because it has a little square root above it, and type in 45. Now, what's the weird decimal we're getting?
6.708.
708, okay, keep going.
Oh, okay.
2.
Yeah, that's good. I want 3 to 4 decimal places. As many decimal places as you can. Now, what that number is, that's your answer. That's what I'm looking for. That 6.7, that's how many spaces, this is a space, right? It's how many units it is from here to there. It is literally 6 units long. Like 6.7 units long. I didn't draw the right number, but you get the idea. Okay, does that make sense, like what it's doing? That's where they're getting 6.7. Okay, now, here's the thing. If you have your own calculator, because I know I only have 10, right, and there's more than 10 of you in. If you have your own calculator and you don't know how to type it in, you have to ask me today. Because on test day, tomorrow, the questions I don't answer are, hey, Ward, how do I type this in? I don't answer that. I don't tell you how to do that. Because that's giving you an answer. I don't tell you. You have to know how to type it in. So today is maybe something you want to ask. The other questions I don't answer tomorrow. Am I doing this right? Does this look like the right answer? I don't answer those questions. In fact, I might even lie to you and say, no, it's not. Because I'm not going to answer that question. It's not a question I answer. I want to know what you know, not that I'm guiding you to the answer. So, questions, comments about your questions or your problems here? Is there anyone that needs help typing that? Because this is the day to ask if you don't know. Okay, fire away. What do you got? You got your own calculator here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so pull it out. Let's see if you have a square key. Yeah, you do. Okay, so hit the on button. Hit the little square key. It's right there. That one. Yep. Type in 45. Enter. Right. All right, so now it's giving you this weird thing. You want to hit the little SD button. Because that's going from like standard answer to decimal. Does that make sense? So whatever answer gets you for that, that's what you get. Question. Okay, do you have a square key on that? Does it just say it on the screen? Yeah, it's right there. Hit that button. Yeah, square, type in 45. Hit enter. Cool, yep. And now it's giving you a weird answer. Hit that little SD button. That goes from standard to decimal. Make sense? Yeah, these are good things. We got to figure these out. Anyone else need help trying to figure out how to take these? Are good. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. You guys have like the same calculator. Those are really nice calculators. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I'll assume that you know, you feel comfortable with it. Again, if you borrow one from me tomorrow, make sure you know how to use it. I only have 10. I don't want somebody coming here and crying that they don't get a calculator. It's not my responsibility to buy you one. I just have 10 in case you don't have one. Okay? So it's kind of first come, first serve. All right, let's go to number 7. All right, so number 7. This problem says use the number line. So obviously, if we're using a formula up here, I'm using the number line formulas. And we have to find the midpoint. So the coordinate, or the variable at the midpoint. Now, we obviously have 2 questions here. It's kind of like the last. It was like kind of like number 5 we just did a little bit ago, right? So we have 2 problems here. I will do one of these for you, and you can try the other one. So which one do you want me to do? AC or BD? Which one?
AC.
AC. Okay, let's do that. So we're going A to C. So A to C. Now, to figure out the middle, the midpoint, you could just do it with your fingers. Some people are really good at this. The middle looks like it's about right there to me. So it's over 1, right there. So what number is that?
-3.
-3. That's the number I'm hitting. Does that make sense? That's the middle. Now, some people hate that idea, that you got to count and figure out where the middle is. They don't see that. So, I have a formula up there. You can see it over there. We have a midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is this. You add your 2 x's together, that's your endpoint, and then you divide that answer by 2. That's how you find the middle. So what are my endpoints from A to C? -12 and 6. All right, those are my endpoints, right? Those are my 2 x's. It's the endpoints. So -12 plus 6, and then you divide by 2. You add the 2 numbers together, whatever they are. So -12 plus 6, that's what, a -6? And what's -6 divided by 2? Negative 3. That's why that's your answer. It's literally telling you. I don't care which way you do it. If you want to do it by the finger idea, do it by the finger way. It could be a decimal. You could get decimals here. So just be careful. Don't feel like it always has to land on a nice pretty number every time. Now, midpoints are, you know, there's an actual like number, it's a coordinate, right? Distance is like is the actual length between. So if you're on a coordinate plane, distance can be really crazy numbers. The thing I'm warning you of on like number 6 and 7, problem 6 and 7, or even number 5, I could put whatever picture I want there. So on this problem number 7, I could say find the midpoint, but I give you a picture like number 6, where I give you the coordinate plane. So if you have to find a midpoint on the coordinate plane, this is the formula you're doing. You're adding the two x's together, whatever your coordinates are, add the two x numbers, divide by 2. That's the first coordinate. Add the two y numbers, divide by 2. It's a coordinate for the midpoint. It's like an actual dot. It's a coordinate, something comma something. So just be careful, whatever I'm giving you, know how to find midpoint. Use the formulas. Questions on your problem or problems? Make sense? Easy? Now remember, you have to do the other one by yourself. You have to do BD. Make sure you're doing that one on your own. I used to like to give you at least one where you can try. Okay, let's move on. Number 8. Great. Okay, so number 8. So here's your picture. I don't think there's anything. Oh, there's a Z down the road. Okay, I didn't even notice that. Okay, so number 8. Yes, please.
So, in the last one, if there's like 6 dashes in between like B and D, would you have to use the formula?
No, I mean, because if you know there's 6, right, you can just count. Fine, you can find the middle if you needed to. Like, you can find where that middle, that hash mark is. Yeah, you wouldn't need to. Technically, you can just use your fingers to figure out where the middle is, or distance.
Like if it's 6 dashes between A and between B and D, and it like ends up in the middle, like in between 2 dashes.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to use the formula. You could just tell me. Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay, yeah. So that was good. Good question. Anyone else? That answer you though? Okay, good. Okay, number 8. Pretty much, I'll give you a picture. I don't know what picture I'm going to give you. It's one from the homework. I'll just put a picture up there. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions about it. It's usually about angles. Okay, because obviously this is about angles. You have to read what the question's asking. Because think about it from previous years. The question that people miss on number 8 here is the second one. It's name the sides of a certain angle. People forget what sides are. They're walls, right? They're rays. You have to give me an answer in the form of a ray and another ray. You have to name 2 of them. Name the sides. Plural sides. The first one, name a vertex. You're not giving me an angle, you're giving me a vertex, like an actual dot where it sits. So a point. Usually these people are really good at this. They're really good at naming angles. The bottom question is a free-for-all. So the bottom question literally could have a bunch of different terms here. This is very open-ended. It could be adjacent like that one. It could be vertical angles. It could be acute. It could be obtuse. I could say name a linear pair, name supplementary angles, name complementary angles. There's lots of different vocab words we've talked about that I can put in this last question. But it's about this picture, if that makes sense to you. We'll go through a couple different examples so you're kind of comfortable with what I could ask. Is everyone ready to go on number 8 though? Okay, so look at this one. Let's look at the top question now. We're going to go through each one. Name the vertex of angle 4. So think about it just... Okay, so the vertex of angle 4. What is the dot where angle 4 is sitting?
U.
Okay? Point U. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. I agree with you, but you got to write the word point. Point U. That's where that's where the dot sits. Does that make sense where 4 is sitting? Point U. You got to put the word point there. Okay, now, second one. Name the sides of angle 3. So here's angle 3, right there. What are the sides of it? Can somebody give me one of them? One of the sides for angle 3. Please, T, what do you got? Give me one. Just guess.
X.
X. Wall. X2.
U.
Okay, there's one. X2. X2. There's one of the walls. That's this wall right here. Does that make sense? That's a side. X towards U. What's the other wall? Got it? WX or XW? I don't care how you put it. WX?
Could be XY also.
No, it's just these two. That's angle 3. These are the walls that make angle 3. It's like the little wedge piece. X to W, X to U. You have to have the arrows above it. The arrows have to point towards the letter, so the endpoint has to be where the vertex. So to answer a side, you have to use the vertex letter, so X in our case, and you have to go towards one of the other letters. That was good. Does that make sense? I don't care the order you put the letters, but the vertex has to be one of them, and it's going towards one of the other dots. So that makes angle 3. That's why we didn't use Y. Y is a different angle. Going that way. Okay, those are both walls. That was good. All right. Questions on that one? Is that no joke? I promise you right now, the second question in your test will say name the sides of something. So you need to know how to name arrays. It's the one question people always butcher because they forget what sides are. How you're supposed to write it. You have to write an array. So they're asked goes around. Next one. Can we name angle 2 by another name? Because obviously they use the number 2, right? Angle 2.
Angle X, Y, U.
Okay, good. So angle 2 is X, Y, U. That's perfect. The Y had to be the middle letter. It was X and U, and we put a little angle symbol out of it. So X towards Y and then towards U. The Y had to be the middle letter. That was good. Does that make sense? The 3-letter system. You do need to know how to do a 3-letter system. I'll let you know there and now. I will ask you questions to name angles. You will have to be able to do the 3-letter system and put them in the right order. You should at least get the middle letter right, where the vertex sits. So now you just got to get the other letters for it. Okay, we'll get there. Next one, can we name the, give me another name for angle UXY. There's a couple different ways you could write it, but U to X to Y. Okay, please, Lear, what do you got?
YXU.
Say it again?
YXU.
Yeah, you could just do that, literally. Just switch the letters around, keep the X in the middle. That was good. It's quick, right? You didn't even have to look at the picture. You just rattle it off. Another one?
Could we just do angle 1?
Okay, good. So YXU, yeah, just say angle number 1. So I don't care if you want to just put an angle number 1. That's totally fine. Those are the only 2 options you have. So U and X to Y is angle 1, or it's the YXU. You can just switch the letters around. That was good. The X had to stay in the middle if you're going to switch the letters. Okay, that was good. Questions on that one? Okay, I like the numbering system. The numbers work well, but the 3-letter, like you can just literally just switch them. You don't even have to look at the picture. Okay, now the last question is super open-ended. Name adjacent angles, name linear pair, name complementary, name vertical angles. So I'll kind of give you some different examples here, okay, of what we can do. Okay, this one is obviously wants you to name adjacent angles, right? We want to name angles that are literally side by side. If you look at this picture, can you name 2 angles, super easy, like super quick, that are literally next to each other?
ZYU and XYZ.
Okay, ZYU, that's this one. That's Z to Y to U, and what was the other one?
XYZ.
XY,
Z.
XYU. Oh, you went XYZ, you went the complete other way. Oh, that works. So XYZ is that huge angle, and you did this one. That works. That was complicated, but it did work. Is there another pair that somebody knows that are really easy? That are 2 angles that are literally side by side? Like, don't overthink it. Just pick 2 numbers that are next to each other.
1 and 3.
1 and 3, there you go. That's literally adjacent angles. They're angles that are right next to each other. Angle 1, angle 3. They don't have to be the same size. So like it's like just you're picking 2. I like the one that you did, right? They're different sizes. You picked this big angle, XYZ, and ZYU. Those are angles, they're different sizes, but they are next to each other. Adjacent angles have to share a wall between them. Now, here's the thing you can always do. This is something a lot of people don't know for my test. You can add extra letters to the picture that you want. You can add extra numbers to the picture if you want. So if you went up here and you want to put an extra 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, if you want to throw extra numbers in the picture and you label them on your picture, I am totally fine with you doing that. Because you're displaying that you understand what you're doing. Like if you need to pick adjacent and you told me 7 and 8, I'm totally fine with that. You're displaying to me you understand what adjacent angles are. Okay? If you want to throw extra letters up there, like you wanted to put, A up here, and there's a B down over here, and there's a C, and you want to throw extra letters in there so you can name other angles, I'm fine with that. Because you're displaying to me, without a doubt, you understand what you're doing there. Because some people like doing that, like throwing extra number to, so it makes more sense to them. So don't be afraid to do that in my test. You can throw those numbers in there. Just make sure they're cleanly labeled so I can follow with what you're doing. Now, other types of angles. I could ask for vertical angles. On this picture, now that I have a bunch of extra numbers, what are some vertical angles up there? Vertical are the ones across from each other like the little funnel.
7 and 2.
7 and 2. Right, 7 and 2, little funnel system. Right, they're straight across. What's another pair? There's one other pair.
So like 2 and 7.
2 and 7 we just said.
Okay.
Was 9 and 8. We can't go 1 and 5. The reason why these are not straight lines. They have to be straight like these two. So funnel, across, or 2 and 7. Those
How
are
would we?
Could 1 and 5 work?
1 and 5 no, because they're different sizes. Vertical angles have to be the exact same angle across from each other. They can't look different. They have to be exactly the same.
Would we put like angle 7, angle 2 in there?
Yeah, you just put angle 7, angle 2 if it wanted vertical. If it wanted complementary, you'd have to know two angles add up to be 90. Now I don't have any there, but maybe on your picture you knew there was a 90-degree marker and there was two angles, angle 1 and 2. You can name those two angles, those are complementary. They make the 90 degrees together. That's complementary angles. Supplementary, we could do supplementary up here. Two angles that make 180 degrees. What are two angles that make 180 when you add them together? They make a straight line when they put side by side.
8,
9 and 9, those are vertical.
2 and 8.
2 and 8 would work. 2 and 8 are supplementary or a linear pair. They're side by side, so they have to be adjacent to each other, and they make a straight line between them. That's supplementary. That's also a linear pair. That's also adjacent angles. They make a straight line. I could have picked 4 and 6 up there. 5 and 3, that would have worked. Okay, does that make sense? Like two angles that are side by side, they make 180. That's supplementary, linear pair, adjacent, like a bunch of different words. Supplementary is 180, or linear pair, same thing. So just be careful. Like there's a lot of different words I can put there, so study your kind of vocab, so you understand what it's asking. Okay? All right, last question of the day. Last one, and then you get time where you can just work on this. You can finish up the ones I skipped. Let's go to number 9. Your test has 9 questions. It's the same exact layout. Basically, all I did was go in the book and I picked a different homework question or a different picture. So in this is one of your homework problems in the book from page, I don't know if it's page 50 or if it was 40. Very similar types of problems you had to do. But it just says find x and y, find the variables. Very open-ended questions, right? Because I don't know how to approach this problem. Every problem's differently. On this problem, I might have to use vertical, or I set vertical angles equal. I might have to add 2 angles to make 180. Maybe on your question, there's certain 90-degree angles there. Don't assume they're 90 unless they put the little box there. But on this problem, it's very open-ended. I don't know how to start, so I'm just going to look at this problem. Do you agree that these angles are vertical to each other?
Yeah.
Do they have the same letters? So I can set these equal to each other. That's something you could recognize. Maybe they didn't have the same letter. You wouldn't want to do that. But on my case, they're vertical. Verticals are equal. I would set 8y minus 102. Set that equal to 2y plus 6. Set them equal. Vertical angles are equal to each other. So I can set them equal. To solve this is just now algebra 1 now. Subtract the 2y across. I'm going to add the 102 over. Right? Or you add 102 to both sides. I don't know how you want to think of it. I will subtract 2y to both sides. So this turns out to be, what, 6y? This turns out to be 108. And if you divide by 6, what are we getting? 18? Something like that? Now that we found y, what should we do? What should we do with the y?
Sub it back in.
You should always plug it back in. Always go back to the picture. Whatever letter you found, if you found one of the letters, go plug it back in. Now I have a bunch of y's here. I'm going to take my y's and plug them back in. I'm going to plug that 18 back in. This turns out to be 36 plus 6. That's 42. So both of these angles are 42s now. I can tell you that right now. Now why that's helpful, if I get rid of all the extra fluff here, I have a 42 here, and I have a 3x here. Does that make sense? Like getting rid of all the extra stuff. What do these two angles add up to make?
90.
At 90,
180.
180. They're making a straight line. Making a straight line. Don't assume there's 90s up there. There's definitely not 90s up there for what I can tell. So, but I can add these together. So 3x plus 42, that should make 180. Maybe that's what you have to do right away in your problem. Maybe you just have to add two angles to make 180. Because maybe they have the same letters. Maybe the two next to each other have both x's. So you're going to add them together to make 180. Maybe that's your start. It's not always vertical. It's not always supplementary, like adding it to be 180. Maybe your problem has the four corners are 90s and they're marked. So whatever they have sitting there, set that equal to 90. Whatever's over here, set that equal to 90. So maybe that's what you're doing in your problem. Maybe you're not even adding the 180, you're just solving each one separately. Does that make sense? Like, it's very open-ended. You just have to identify the picture. How do I set it up? I'm betting on most people are comfortable with algebra. The problem is you have to set it up. You have to see what you need to do on your problem. They're all individual. But it's going to be one of those three rules. 90s, 180s, or vertical. Make sense? Okay, that's it for today. That's all I got. I sent an email about an hour or two ago stating that we have homework due tomorrow. Practice test due tomorrow. Now, we went through most of this together, unless you're gone. So make sure that you're watching the video or talk to your neighbor and see that you're checking out your answers, because I'm fine with that you're checking. Now, normally on our practice guides, I normally don't go through all the questions like I did today. This is your first test. I want to alleviate your stress a little bit so you know what to do. Usually I'll hand these practice tests out well in advance, like a couple weeks before your test, and you just kind of work on them on your own until test day. And maybe on the review days coming up, you can ask certain questions. We won't do everyone, but we'll do maybe one or two questions here and there on it. That way you're kind of mentally prepared and you know what to do. You can fill it out as you go through the chapter so you know what problem that was, because maybe you recognize it from the homework. That type of thing. But this is the first one I thought we better go through together so you know what you're doing. Questions, comments, concerns?